The massive space station hung in the void like a silver jewel against the darkness. Its twisted metal arms stretched out in 12 directions, each one representing a different alien civilization that had joined the Galactic Assembly over the past 3,000 years. Ambassador Hyansik pressed his face against the small window of the human transport ship and watched the station grow larger as they approached. "First time seeing something this big?" asked Captain Soyoung from behind him. She was the commanding officer of their escort vessel, a sleek ship that Earth had built specifically for this historic meeting. "It's incredible," Hyansik replied, adjusting his dark blue diplomatic uniform. "It's hard to believe we're actually here." The journey from Earth had taken 6 months using humanity's newest faster-than-light drive. For generations, humans had dreamed of meeting other intelligent life. Now that dream was about to become reality. The Galactic Assembly had sent a formal invitation after detecting human radio signals, and Earth had chosen Hyansik as their representative. As their ship docked with the station, Hyansik felt his heart beating faster. Everything depended on making a good first impression. He carried with him Earth's hopes for peaceful contact and trade with the galaxy's established civilizations. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and Hyansik stepped into a corridor that seemed to stretch forever. The walls were made of some kind of translucent material that glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols covered the surfaces, probably writing in alien languages he could not read. "Welcome to Assembly Station," said a voice behind him. Hyansik turned to see a tall, thin creature with gray skin and large black eyes. It wore flowing robes that seemed to shimmer as it moved. "I am diplomatic aide, Veltar. I will escort you to the council chamber." They walked through corridors filled with beings unlike anything Hyansik had ever imagined. Some had multiple arms, others had scales instead of skin. A few floated through the air without any visible means of support. All of them stopped to stare at the human as he passed. "They are curious about your species," Veltar explained. "It has been over 200 years since we welcomed a new member to the assembly." The council chamber was a vast circular room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 ornate chairs were arranged in a semicircle, each one designed for a different type of alien physiology. At the center stood a simple wooden chair that looked strangely out of place among all the advanced technology. "Please take your seat," Veltar said, gesturing to the wooden chair. "The council will begin shortly." One by one, the alien representatives entered the chamber. Each was more exotic than the last. Some walked on legs, others slithered or floated. Their clothing ranged from simple robes to complex mechanical suits that seemed to breathe, move on their own. The last to enter was clearly the most important. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with golden skin and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. His robes were deep purple and covered with intricate patterns that shifted and changed as Hyansik watched. "I am Council Leader Vorthok of the Zenthari Empire," the being announced in a voice that filled the entire chamber. "We welcome humanity to this historic gathering." Hyansik stood and bowed slightly. "Thank you, Council Leader. I am Ambassador Hyansik, representing the people of Earth. We are honored by your invitation." Orthok's expression remained neutral, but Hyansik caught a hint of something that might have been amusement in those glowing eyes. "The honor is ours, young ambassador. It is always refreshing to meet a species that has recently discovered interstellar travel." The word recently seemed to carry extra weight, and Hyansik noticed several of the other council members exchanging glances. He was beginning to suspect that the assembly viewed humanity as primitive newcomers to the galactic community. "Now then," Vorthok continued, producing a crystalline device that projected a holographic display into the air above the chamber. "We have prepared the standard integration package for your species. This will help guide humanity's development. Over the coming centuries, the hologram showed star charts, technology diagrams, and what appeared to be lengthy legal documents." Hyansik studied the display carefully, his training as a diplomat helping him to read between the lines. "These territorial boundaries," he said, pointing to a section of the star chart, "limit human expansion to just 3 star systems. Is this standard for new members?" "Of course," replied another council member, a creature with multiple eyes and a voice like grinding metal. New species must prove their stability and responsibility before being granted access to the greater galaxy. The process typically takes 3 to 5 centuries. Hide-and-Seek felt a chill run down his spine. Centuries. Earth's population was growing rapidly, and they needed new worlds to colonize. 3 star systems would not be nearly enough. And these technology restrictions? He asked, highlighting another section of the hologram. For your own safety, Vorthok explained patiently. Advanced technologies can be dangerous in the wrong hands. We have seen too many young species destroy themselves by advancing too quickly. The Assembly will gradually introduce new technologies as humanity proves ready for them. The restrictions covered everything from faster-than-light communication to artificial intelligence to advanced weaponry. Essentially, humanity would be locked into their current level of technology for the foreseeable future. I understand your concerns, Hide-and-Seek said carefully. But surely there is room for negotiation. Humanity has already developed some technologies that might interest the Assembly. Several council members made sounds that might have been laughter. Vorthok's expression became even more condescending. Young ambassador, I do not wish to offend, but your species has barely begun to explore space. What could you possibly offer? That would interest civilizations that have mastered interstellar travel for millennia? Before Hide-and-Seek could respond, he felt a gentle vibration in his pocket. It was his communication device, set to silent mode. Captain Soyoung was trying to reach him. He excused himself politely and activated the device. Soyoung's voice was barely a whisper. Ambassador, our sensors have been passively scanning the station since we arrived. You need to know something important. Your technology is not as advanced as they want us to believe. Our quantum computers have already reverse-engineered their power systems, their artificial gravity generators, and their faster-than-light drives. We could build this entire station from scratch. Hide-and-Seek's eyes widened, but he kept his expression neutral. Are you certain? Completely? Them such a technological advantage in the past? They have not improved it for a very long time. Their systems are actually quite primitive by our current standards. They are using technology that is hundreds of years old. This changed everything. The Assembly was not offering to gradually introduce humanity to advanced technology. They were trying to keep humanity locked into inferior technology while maintaining their own position of power. Thank you, Captain, Hide-and-Seek whispered. Continue monitoring and report back to Earth immediately. Tell Admiral Taman that we may need to reconsider our entire approach to this situation. He deactivated the communication device and returned to his seat. The council members were still discussing the integration package as if it were a generous gift rather than a trap. The package is quite comprehensive, Vorthok was saying. It should serve humanity well for the next few centuries. Do you have any other questions? Hide-and-Seek smiled politely. Just one. How long did it take the Zenthari to complete their integration process? The Zenthari were founding members of the Assembly, Vorthok replied proudly. We helped establish these protocols based on our own ancient wisdom, I see, and the other species, which took the appropriate time to prove their worthiness. Altarians required 400 years. The Kithra took nearly 600. It is a necessary process. Hide-and-Seek nodded thoughtfully. Now he understood. The Assembly was not a partnership of equals. It was a system designed to keep newer species permanently inferior to the founding members. The integration package was not meant to help humanity advance. It was meant to keep them contained. The package is indeed comprehensive, he said finally. I will need to transmit it to Earth for review by our government. I am sure they will be very interested in your generous offer. Excellent, Vorthok said, clearly pleased. We look forward to working with humanity over the coming centuries. Take all the time you need to review the terms. We understand that primitive species often need extra time to comprehend advanced concepts. As the meeting concluded and the council members began to file out, Hide-and-Seek remained in his seat, his mind racing. The Assembly had made a critical error. They had assumed that humanity was just another primitive species that could be easily controlled and manipulated. They had no idea what they were dealing with. 3 months had passed since the first meeting at Assembly Station. Trade Minister Cathra sat in his luxurious office on the planet Proxima Centauri, reviewing the latest reports from across the galaxy. The windows of his tower showed the bustling alien city below, where beings from 12 different worlds conducted their daily business. The reports should have been routine. New species always took time to adjust to assembly protocols. The humans were supposed to be quietly settling into their assigned territory, learning to accept their place in the galactic order. Instead, the reports painted a very different picture. "This cannot be correct," Kethra muttered, his forearms shuffling through the datasheets. His species, the Velka, had been members of the Assembly for over 1,000 years. They had seen many new species join, and the pattern was always the same. Initial excitement, followed by gradual acceptance of their limitations. The humans were not following the pattern. His assistant, "Systems has arrived. You are not going to like what you see." Kethra took the reports with growing concern. According to Assembly records, humans should still be struggling with basic interstellar communication. Their assigned technology level did not include faster-than-light messaging systems. Yet somehow, human colonies were coordinating activities across multiple star systems in real time. "How is this possible?" Kethra asked. "Systems take hours to send messages between star systems. The humans should not have anything better than radio waves."
"Oh."
"That is not the strangest part," Morsa replied nervously. "According to these reports, human ships are using energy shields that are more advanced than our own defensive systems. They are also using artificial intelligence programs that can make independent decisions." Kethra felt a chill run through his body. AI technology was heavily restricted by Assembly law. Too many civilizations had been destroyed by artificial minds that turned against their creators. Humans should not even know that such technology existed. "Contact Intelligence Director Morthek immediately," Kethra ordered. "We need to understand what is happening." Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Sol, Engineer G1 was having the best day of her career. The construction project she had been working on for months was finally complete. She stood in the center of a vast manufacturing facility, watching as thousands of tiny robots work together to build a new city. "The nanobots are performing perfectly," she reported to her supervisor over the communication link. "They are replicating themselves and following the construction algorithms, exactly as programmed. At this rate, we will have a fully functioning city within 6 months." Her supervisor, Director Park, sounded pleased. "Excellent work, G1. Earth will be very happy with these results."
"How are the other projects progressing? Are the orbital?"
"Shipyards are ahead of schedule," G1 replied. "We should have our first locally built starships ready for testing within the month. The mineral extraction operations are also exceeding expectations. The automated systems are pulling resources from 3 different asteroid fields simultaneously." What G1 did not know was that her nanobots represented technology that the Assembly had banned over 2,000 years ago. Self-replicating. Machines had once consumed entire planets, turning them into endless factories that produced nothing but more machines. The Assembly had learned to fear such technology. The humans had invented it independently. With no knowledge of its dangerous history, Dr. Yoon Young was having her own revelations in the research laboratories of New Sol. As the colony's chief xenobiologist, she had been studying tissue samples and genetic data from the various Assembly species. What she had discovered was disturbing. "The biological diversity is incredibly limited," she explained to her research team. "These 12 species have been interbreeding and sharing genetic material for so long that they have lost most of their original characteristics. They are becoming genetically stagnant." Her assistant, Dr. Kim, looked up from his microscope. "What does that mean for their technological development?" "Means they have stopped evolving," Yoon replied. "Both biologically and technologically, they're using the same scientific principles. Their ancestors discovered thousands of years ago. They have forgotten how to innovate." She pulled up a holographic display showing the genetic structures of various Assembly species. "Look at this. The Zenthari genome shows clear signs of artificial modification that stopped over a millennium ago. The Velka have been using the same biotechnology for centuries without any improvements. They are not advancing anymore." "But their technology is so advanced," Dr. Kim protested. "They have faster-than-light travel, artificial gravity, energy weapons. How can they be stagnant?" Because they inherited all of this from their ancestors, Yunung explained. They know how to use it and maintain it, but they do not understand how to improve it. They are like children playing with toys they do not really comprehend. This revelation was being transmitted back to Earth, where it was causing quite a stir in the scientific community. Humanity had assumed that the assembly represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization. Instead, they were discovering that these ancient species had become comfortable with their existing technology and had lost the drive to push forward. On Earth, Admiral Taman was reviewing the latest intelligence reports in his office at the Global Defense Command. The information coming back from the colonies was remarkable, but it also presented serious challenges. "Sir, we have a problem," announced his aide, Commander Lee. "The Assembly is starting to notice our technological progress. Intelligence sources report that they are conducting investigations into our activities." Admiral Taman studied the star charts on his desk. Human colonies were spreading faster than anyone had expected. The 3-star systems assigned by the Assembly were already fully colonized, and human ships were secretly exploring dozens of other systems. "How long before they realize the full extent of our expansion?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. They're monitoring. Systems are surprisingly primitive. We have been able to avoid detection by using stealth technology that they apparently never developed, but it is only a matter of time." "And our military capabilities?" "Growing rapidly. The orbital shipyards are producing vessels at a rate that would be impossible using assembly technology. Our new ships are smaller, faster, and more heavily armed than anything in the assembly fleet." Admiral Taman nodded thoughtfully. "About the diplomatic situation? Is Ambassador Hyansik still maintaining the pretense?" "Yes, sir. He continues to attend assembly meetings and submit reports that suggest humanity is struggling with basic colonization. The assembly believes we are having difficulty adapting to space travel." "Good. Continue the deception for now. But prepare contingency plans. If the assembly discovers our true capabilities before we are ready, we may need to defend ourselves." Back on Proxima Centauri, Intelligence Director Morthek was meeting with Trade Minister Kethra in a secure conference room. The intelligence chief was a member of the Thorian species, known for their analytical minds and attention to detail. "The situation is worse than we initially thought," Morthak reported. "Human technology is not just advancing rapidly, it is advancing in ways that should be impossible," explained Kethra demanded. "They are using quantum computing systems that can process information faster than our most advanced computers. They have developed energy sources that produce more power than entire assembly worlds. Most disturbing of all, they seem to have no fear of dangerous technologies that we banned millennia ago." Morthek activated a holographic display showing human ship movements. "Look at this pattern. Human vessels are appearing in star systems throughout the galaxy. They are not just exploring their assigned territory, they are mapping our entire civilization." "That is impossible," Kethra protested. "We would have detected such widespread activity, would we?" Morthek asked. "Our detection systems were designed to monitor known assembly technology. Humans are using methods we do not recognize. We could have ships throughout our territory, and we would never know." The two aliens stared at the holographic display in silence. The implications were terrifying. If the humans were more advanced than they had claimed, then the entire assembly was vulnerable. "What do you recommend?" Kethra asked finally. "We need to inform Council Leader Vorthok immediately," Morthok replied. "The assembly must be warned that humanity is not the primitive species we thought they were. They may represent a threat to everything we have built." As the meeting ended, neither alien realized that their conversation was being monitored by human intelligence systems. Captain Soyoung, now commanding a stealth reconnaissance vessel, had been tracking assembly communications for weeks. "Earth, this is Reconnaissance 1, she reported. "The assembly is beginning to understand that we are not what we seem. Intelligence Director Morthak is recommending immediate action. We should expect increased surveillance of our activities." The response from Earth was immediate. "Understood, Captain. Continue monitoring. Be prepared to withdraw if necessary. We're not ready for open conflict yet." Soyoung looked at her tactical display, which showed the positions of dozens of human ships throughout assembly space. The humans had been busy during the past 3 months, and they were just getting started. "Roger that, Earth. But I think It is too late for subtlety. The assembly is about to discover that they have seriously underestimated humanity. As she spoke, alerts began flashing on her console. Assembly ships were changing course, moving toward known human positions. Confrontation that everyone had been dreading was about to begin. The humans had spent 3 months learning about their new neighbors. Now those neighbors were about to learn the truth about humanity. 6 months after first contact, Commander Dong Hyan stood on the bridge of his exploration vessel. Watching the stars blur past as they traveled through hyperspace, his fleet of 12 ships was conducting what the assembly believed was a routine survey mission. In reality, they were establishing humanity's 17th secret colony. "Commander, we are approaching the target system," reported his navigation officer, Lieutenant Park. "All ships are ready to begin colonization procedures." Dong Han nodded, studying the tactical display. The system contained 4 planets, 2 of which were suitable for human habitation. According to assembly records, this area of space was empty and unimportant. The aliens had never bothered to explore it thoroughly. "Begin deployment of the construction nanobots," he ordered. "I want orbital stations and surface installations operational within 48 hours. Remember, we need to be invisible too." Assembly sensors. As his ships began their work, Dong Hyan reflected on how much had changed since the first meeting at Assembly Station. Humanity had gone from being viewed as a primitive species to secretly controlling more territory than some established assembly members. The transformation had been remarkable. Earth's scientists had studied every piece of alien technology they could find and had consistently improved upon it. Human ships were now faster, more efficient, and virtually undetectable by assembly monitoring systems. "Sir, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth," announced the communications officer. "Admiral Taman wants to speak with you." Immediately, Dong Hyan accepted the transmission, and the Admiral's image appeared on the main screen. Even across the vast distances of space, the quantum communication system provided crystal-clear contact in real time. "Commander, we have a situation," Admiral Taman began without preamble. "Long-range sensors have detected a massive alien fleet moving toward the Kepler 442 system. They appear to be hostile forces not affiliated with the assembly." Dong Hyan felt his stomach tighten. "The Vulcan swarm," confirmed. "Intelligence estimates over 300 ships, all heavily armed. The assembly has been fighting them for decades without success. They seem to be making another major push into assembly territory." The Vulcan swarm was a mysterious alien species that had been terrorizing the galaxy for generations. Unlike the civilized assembly races, the swarm existed only to consume and destroy. Their technology was crude, but effective, and they attacked in massive numbers that overwhelmed enemy defenses. "What are your orders, sir?" Dong Hyan asked. "Proceed to the Kepler 442 system immediately." "Damn." "The assembly is mobilizing their entire fleet to stop the swarm, but based on our analysis of their military capabilities, they will not be successful. We cannot allow the swarm to establish a foothold in that sector." "Sir, are we authorized to engage hostile forces?" "That would reveal our true capabilities to the assembly." Admiral Taman's expression was grim. "The situation has moved beyond diplomacy, Commander. If the swarm breaks through assembly lines, they will threaten human colonies. You are authorized to use whatever force is necessary." As the transmission ended, Dong Han turned to his tactical officer. "Set course for Kepler 442, maximum speed. Signal all ships to prepare for combat operations." The human fleet changed direction and accelerated to velocities that would have been impossible for assembly vessels. Their advanced engines could push them far beyond the safety limits that alien engineers had established centuries ago. Meanwhile, on the assembly world of Altair Prime, General Zixcourt was coordinating the largest military operation in recent history. The massive alien stood in the center of a command bunker, surrounded by holographic displays showing the movement of hundreds of ships. "Status report," he demanded in his gravelly voice. "The swarm fleet has broken through our outer defenses," reported his aide, a nervous Altarian named Felra. "They are advancing toward the inner systems. Our ships are taking heavy casualties." General Zixcourt studied the tactical display with growing frustration. The assembly had been fighting the Vulcan swarm for over 50 years, and they had never been able to achieve a decisive victory. The swarm ships were individually weak, but they attacked in such overwhelming numbers that even the most advanced assembly vessels were eventually overwhelmed. "What about the new human ships?" he asked. "Are they participating in the defense?" "No, sir. Ambassador Hyansik claims that humanity lacks the military capability to assist in major operations. Their ships are supposedly limited to basic patrol duties." "Useless," Zixcourt muttered. "We invite them into our civilization, and they cannot even defend themselves when threatened." What General Zixcourt did not know was that 12 human ships were already in the battle zone, moving through space with a stealth technology that made them completely invisible to both assembly and swarm sensors. "Commander." Dong Hayan watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. The assembly fleet was fighting bravely, but they were using outdated tactics and predictable strategies. The swarm forces were adapting to every move the aliens made. "Analysis complete, sir," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Kim. "Swarm ships are using a distributed command structure. Each vessel operates independently, but shares information through quantum entanglement communication. Traditional military tactics are ineffective against this approach. Recommendations: our AI systems have identified weaknesses in their formation patterns. If we target their communication nodes simultaneously, we can disrupt their coordination. However, we will need to attack from multiple directions at once." Dong Hayan nodded. "Signal all ships. We're going to demonstrate something the Assembly has never seen before. Activate the adaptive combat protocols." The human ships suddenly appeared throughout the battle zone, their stealth systems deactivating as they prepared to engage. The swarm forces immediately turned to face this new threat, but they were completely unprepared for what happened next. The human weapon systems began analyzing swarm technology in real time, adapting their attacks to exploit weaknesses as they were discovered. Each shot was more effective than the last, as the AI systems learned from previous encounters. "Target their communication nodes first," Dong Hayan ordered. "Disable their ability to coordinate." The human ships moved with precision that seemed impossible. They anticipated swarm movements before they happened, positioning themselves to deliver maximum damage while avoiding return fire. Within minutes, the swarm's coordinated attacks began to fall apart. On the assembly command ship, General Zixcourt watched in amazement as the battle shifted completely. The mysterious human vessels were single-handedly turning the tide of a conflict that had seemed hopeless. "Where did those ships come from?" he demanded. "And how are they so effective?" "Unknown, sir," Thelra replied, her voice filled with awe. "They appeared without warning and immediately began engaging swarm forces. Their weapons seemed to be adapting to enemy defenses in real time. That is impossible. Adaptive weapon systems are theoretical technology. No one has ever successfully implemented them." As they watched, the human ships began a complex dance of destruction. They moved in perfect coordination, each vessel covering the others while delivering devastating attacks. The swarm forces, which had seemed unstoppable moments before, began to retreat in disorder. "Sir, the swarm fleet is withdrawing," reported another officer. "They are abandoning the attack and fleeing toward the outer rim." General Zixcourt could barely believe what he was seeing. In less than an hour, 12 human ships had accomplished what the entire assembly fleet had failed to do in decades of warfare. "Get me a communication channel to the human commander," he ordered. Hayan's image appeared on the assembly command ship's main screen. Now the human looked calm and professional, as if he had just completed a routine training exercise. "Rather than a major battle, General Zixcourt, I presume," Dong Hayan said politely. "I am Commander Dong Hayan of the Terran Defense Force. I hope our assistance was helpful. Commander, your ships just accomplished something we thought was impossible. How did you defeat the swarm so easily?" Don Chan smiled. "We used adaptive tactics and AI-assisted targeting systems. Our computers analyzed their attack patterns and developed countermeasures in real time. It is a fairly standard approach for human military operations." "Standard?" Scourt's voice rose in disbelief. "You are telling me that this level of technology is routine for humanity?" "Well, this is actually an older system," Dong Hayan admitted. "Our newest ships have much more advanced capabilities. We have been hesitant to reveal our full military potential because we did not want to alarm the assembly." General Zixcourt felt a chill run through his body. If this was outdated human technology, what were their newest ships capable of? Commander, I think we need to have a serious discussion about humanity's role in galactic defense, he said carefully. I agree, General. Perhaps it is time for the Assembly to understand what humanity can truly contribute to galactic civilization. As the human ships prepared to depart, General Zixcourt realized that everything had changed. The species that the Assembly had dismissed as primitive newcomers had just demonstrated military capabilities that surpassed anything in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Admiral Taman was reviewing the battle reports with satisfaction. The engagement had accomplished exactly what he had hoped. The Assembly now knew that humanity was not defenseless, but they still had no idea of the full extent of human capabilities. Sir, we are receiving priority communications from Assembly worlds throughout the galaxy, reported his communications. Officer, they are requesting immediate meetings to discuss military cooperation. Schedule the meetings, but keep them routine for now, Admiral Taman ordered. We are not ready to reveal everything yet. Let them think this was just a fortunate accident, but he knew the truth. The age of human secrecy was coming to an end. Soon the Assembly would discover that they had invited a technological superpower into their galaxy, and everything was about to change. Council Leader Vorthok paced back and forth in the emergency assembly chamber, his golden skin now pale with worry. The circular room was filled with representatives from all 12 member worlds, and every face showed the same expression of fear and confusion. This is impossible, declared Trade Minister Kethra, his forearms waving frantically as he spoke. No species advances this rapidly. It violates everything we know about technological development. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the battle against the Velkan swarm, recorded by Assembly sensors. 12 human ships had destroyed a fleet that the Assembly had been unable to defeat for decades. The footage played over and over, but none of the alien leaders could understand what they were seeing. Perhaps their technology is borrowed, suggested Defense Minister Kuloth, a heavily armored being from the warrior planet Thorax. Maybe they found ancient ruins or made contact with another advanced species. Impossible, replied Intelligence. Director Morthek, we have been monitoring human space for months. There are no signs of external interference. This technology is definitely human in origin. Vorthok stopped pacing and turned to face the Assembly. Then we must accept the truth. We have made a grave error in judgment. Humanity is not the primitive species we believed them to be. The emergency session had been called immediately after the swarm battle. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Assembly was facing a potential threat from within their own borders. The careful balance of power that had maintained galactic peace was suddenly in jeopardy. What do we know about their current capabilities? Vorthok asked. Morthok activated another holographic display. Based on our analysis of the battle, human ships are approximately 3 times faster than our fastest vessels. Their weapons can adapt to enemy defenses in real time. Most concerning of all, they seem to have unlimited energy sources that allow for sustained combat operations. And their territorial expansion is far beyond what we authorize. Our latest intelligence suggests they have established colonies in at least 20 star systems. They are using stealth technology that makes their ships invisible to our sensors. A shocked silence filled the chamber. According to Assembly law, humanity should have been limited to 3 star systems for the next several centuries. Instead, they had quietly taken control of more territory than some established member worlds. This is an invasion, declared Kulath. Rising from his seat, they are conquering our galaxy while pretending to be peaceful newcomers. We must take military action before they become too powerful to stop. With what? Asked General Zixcourt, who had been called to attend the emergency session. After witnessing their combat capabilities, I can tell you that our military forces are inadequate. We would be attacking a superior enemy with inferior weapons. Then what do you suggest? Vorthok demanded. Before anyone could answer, the chamber's communication system activated. Council Leader Vorthok, you have an incoming transmission from Ambassador Hyansik. He is requesting permission to address the emergency assembly. Vorthok exchanged glances with the other representatives. The timing was suspicious. How did the human ambassador know about their emergency session? Accept the transmission, he ordered. The holographic display shifted to show Ambassador Hyansik standing on the bridge of what was clearly a human warship. Behind him, alien representatives could see advanced control systems and displays that looked far more sophisticated than anything in the assembly fleet. Council Leader Vorthok, Honorable Representatives Hyansik began with a polite bow. I understand you are having an emergency session to discuss recent events. I thought it might be helpful if I provided some clarification. Ambassador Vorthok replied carefully, we were not aware that you knew about this meeting. We have been monitoring assembly communications for some time, Hyansik admitted casually. Your encryption systems are quite easy to break once you understand the underlying mathematics. The alien representatives stared at him in shock. Assembly communication codes were supposed to be unbreakable. They had been developed by the greatest minds in galactic history and had never been compromised. You have been spying on us? Kuloth demanded angrily. We prefer to think of it as gathering information necessary for our security, Hyansik replied calmly. After all, you did present us with a rather restrictive set of territorial and technological limitations. We wanted to understand your true intentions. Our intentions were to help your species develop safely, Vorthok protested. Were they? Hyansik's expression became more serious. Were they to keep us weak and dependent on assembly guidance? We have studied your history, Council Leader. We know how you treat new member species. The chamber fell silent. The humans had discovered the truth about the Assembly's integration process. We have also been analyzing your military capabilities, Hyansik continued. Your fleets are impressive in size, but the technology is outdated by several centuries. You are using the same weapons and defensive systems your ancestors developed thousands of years ago. That technology has served us well, Zixcourt replied defensively. Has it? Have been fighting the Velkan swarm for 50 years without achieving victory. A single human squadron defeated them in less than an hour. Your advanced technology is actually a barrier to progress. Hyansik gestured to someone off-screen, and the display shifted to show a detailed analysis of assembly military systems. The data was so comprehensive that it could only have been gathered through extensive surveillance and infiltration. This is what we see when we look at your civilization, he explained. Ancient races that have become comfortable with their existing knowledge, have stopped innovating, stopped pushing boundaries, stopped growing. You are technologically stagnant. How dare you? Kethra sputtered. We are the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. You were Hyansik corrected, but advancement requires constant effort. You have been resting on the achievements of your ancestors for so long that you have forgotten how to move forward. The human ambassador paused, allowing his words to sink in before continuing. We know that you are considering military action against humanity. I want to make sure you understand the situation clearly before you make that decision. The display changed again, this time showing human fleet positions throughout assembly space. There were hundreds of ships, all invisible to assembly sensors until now. These are our current military assets in your territory, Hyansik explained. Each vessel is more advanced than your most powerful warships. We have been monitoring your activities, protecting your trade routes, and maintaining security in regions your own forces cannot adequately patrol. Impossible, whispered Morthek. We had no idea you had such a large presence. That was the point. We wanted to understand your civilization before revealing our true capabilities. What we discovered was both encouraging and disappointing. Encouraging because your species are fundamentally peaceful and well-intentioned. You genuinely want to maintain stability and cooperation. It's disappointing because you have allowed fear and tradition to limit your potential. Hyansik's expression softened slightly. We did not come to your galaxy to conquer or destroy. We came seeking knowledge and friendship. But we will not allow ourselves to be restricted by artificial limitations imposed by those who have forgotten how to dream. What are you proposing? Vorthok asked quietly. A new relationship based on mutual respect rather than condescension. We are willing to share our technology and knowledge with species that are ready to embrace change and growth. But we will not submit to the authority of those who view us as children. The chamber erupted in heated discussions as representatives argued among themselves. Some wanted to fight, others wanted to negotiate, and a few were beginning to realize that they had no choice but to accept humanity's terms. "We need time to consider your proposal," Vorthok said finally. Of course, Hyansik replied. "But while you are deliberating, remember that the galaxy is changing whether you approve or not. The question is whether you will be part of that change or be left behind by it." The transmission ended, leaving the assembly representatives staring. At the empty holographic display, for 3,000 years, they had controlled the galaxy through careful management of technology and territory. Now a single species had appeared and made all of their systems obsolete. "What do we do now?" asked Kethra quietly. Orthok looked around the chamber at the faces of his fellow representatives. Fear, anger, and confusion were written on every alien face. But underneath those emotions, he could see something else beginning to emerge. "Hope. We adapt," he said finally. "For the first time in millennia, we learned something new. The human flagship Sogzhong was unlike anything the Assembly representatives had ever seen. As their transport ship approached the massive vessel, Trade Minister Kethra pressed his face against the viewing window in amazement. The ship seemed to be alive, its hull shifting and changing as they watched. "The exterior is made of programmable matter," explained Captain Soyoung, as she escorted the alien delegation through the ship's corridors. "It can adapt its shape and properties based on environmental conditions or tactical requirements." Ambassador Hyansik had invited all 12 Assembly representatives aboard the human flagship for what he called a demonstration of mutual understanding. After days of heated debate, the Assembly had agreed to attend the meeting, though many members remained suspicious of human intentions. "This technology should not be possible," muttered Intelligence Director Morthek as they passed through corridors that seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions. Programmable matter was theoretical, even in our most advanced civilizations. Things are possible when you are not afraid to try new approaches. Captain Soyoung replied diplomatically. They entered a vast conference room where Dr. Union was waiting with a series of holographic displays. The xenobiologist smiled warmly as the alien representatives took their seats around a circular table that adjusted its size and shape to accommodate different species. "Thank you all for coming," Ambassador Hyansik began. "I know this meeting was not easy to arrange given the current tensions, but I believe it is necessary for all of us to understand each other better." Council Leader Vorthok leaned forward in his chair. "Ambassador, we have seen demonstrations of your military power. You know you could conquer our worlds if you chose to do so. What we do not understand is why you have not done so." "Because conquest was never our goal," Hyansik replied simply. "We came to your galaxy seeking knowledge and friendship, not domination." "Then what do you want?" asked Defense Minister Kuloth suspiciously. Dr. Yoon activated her holographic displays, showing detailed analysis of galactic civilization. "We want to help you reach your full potential. Our studies have revealed that your species have become trapped in patterns of stagnation." The display showed genetic and technological analysis of all 12 assembly species. The data was presented in simple, clear graphics that even non-scientists could understand. "Look at this," Dr. Yunung explained, highlighting sections of the display. The Zenthari civilization reached its technological peak over 2,000 years ago and has made virtually no advances since then. The Velka have been using the same medical technologies for 15 centuries. The Altarians stopped exploring new star systems 800 years ago. "This is natural," protested Kethra. "Once a civilization reaches maturity, it focuses on maintaining stability rather than pursuing dangerous innovations." "But that is exactly the problem," Dr. Yoon replied gently. "Without constant growth and adaptation, civilizations begin to decay. Your population growth has slowed, your curiosity has diminished, and your ability to solve new problems has atrophied." She activated another display showing population and innovation statistics across the galaxy. The trends were clear and disturbing. In another 1,000 years, most assembly species will begin experiencing serious decline. Your birth rates are falling, your young people lack motivation, and your societies are becoming increasingly rigid and conservative. What are you suggesting? Vorthok asked quietly. That you allow us to help you break free from these patterns, Hyacinth replied. We are not here to replace your civilizations or force you to become like us. We want to help you rediscover your own potential for growth. Engineer G1 entered the conference room, pushing a cart loaded with various devices. She had been working around the clock to prepare demonstrations of human technology that could benefit assembly worlds. These are some examples of what we can offer, she announced, beginning to unpack the devices. Terraforming accelerators that can make dead worlds habitable in months instead of centuries. Medical nanobots that can repair genetic damage and extend lifespans indefinitely. Energy systems that can power entire civilizations without depleting natural resources. She activated the first device, which projected a holographic model of a terraforming process. This system can analyze a planet's atmosphere, geology, and ecosystem, and introduce precisely calibrated changes to make it suitable for any form of life you choose. We have terraforming technology, General Zixcourt pointed out. Yes, but your methods take centuries and often fail, G1 replied. Our approach uses self-adapting organisms that can respond to unexpected conditions and modify their behavior accordingly. The process is faster, more reliable, and completely reversible if needed. She moved to the next device, a small medical scanner. This system can analyze any biological organism and design custom treatments for diseases, genetic disorders, or age-related decline. It can even enhance natural abilities without harmful side effects. Enhancement technology is forbidden. By assembly law, Morthek stated firmly. Why? Asked Dr. Yunyang. Because some ancient civilization misused it thousands of years ago? That does not mean the technology itself is evil. Used properly, it could eliminate suffering and allow your people to achieve things they never thought possible. The alien representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. For millennia, they had been taught that certain technologies were too dangerous to pursue. The humans were challenging fundamental assumptions about galactic civilization. 8. What you are. Proposing sounds wonderful in theory, Vorthok said carefully. But how do we know we can trust you? We know almost nothing about your true nature or long-term intentions. Captain So-Young stepped forward. She activated a wall display that showed scenes from human space over the past 6 months. These are records of human activities in your territory during the past 6 months, she explained. Activities you were not aware of until now. The display showed human ships stopping plague outbreaks on remote colonies, preventing asteroid impacts on inhabited worlds, and defending trade convoys from pirate attacks. In every case, the humans had acted without seeking recognition or reward. We have been protecting your civilization while you debated whether we were worthy of membership, Captain So-Young continued. We stopped 3 different disease outbreaks that could have killed millions. We prevented 4 stellar collapses that would have destroyed entire star systems. We defeated 6 major pirate fleets and 2 swarm incursions. The alien representatives stared at the evidence in shock. The humans had been secretly maintaining galactic security, while the Assembly viewed them as primitive newcomers. Why? Asked Kethra. Why would you help us without telling us? Because helping others is what we do. Hyacinth replied simply. We do not help people because we expect rewards or recognition. Help because it is the right thing to do. Dr. Yun Yung activated another display showing human philosophy and social structures. This is perhaps the most important thing you need to understand about humanity. Our entire civilization is built around the concept of collective improvement. Explain, Vorthok requested. We believe that everyone benefits when everyone grows stronger, she explained. Human progress has always been fastest when we work together, sharing knowledge and resources to solve common problems. We see your civilizations the same way. You are not trying to conquer us, General Zixcourt said slowly. You are trying to recruit us. In a sense, yes, Hyacinth admitted, but not as subjects or servants, as partners and equals. We want to build something better than either of us could achieve alone. Engineer G1 activated her final demonstration device. This is a collaborative research platform. It allows scientists from different species to work together on projects that would be impossible for any single civilization to complete. The device projected a holographic workspace where multiple researchers could manipulate complex theoretical models simultaneously. Different species could contribute their unique perspectives and abilities to solve problems that had seemed impossible. "Imagine what we could discover together," Juan said enthusiastically. "Your ancient knowledge combined with our adaptive technologies, your wisdom and experience guided by our enthusiasm for innovation. We could solve the mysteries of the universe itself." The conference room fell silent as the alien representatives considered what they had seen and heard. Everything they thought they knew about galactic civilization was being challenged. "This is a lot to process," Vorthok said finally. "They're asking us to abandon thousands of years of tradition and law. We're asking you to remember what those traditions were supposed to accomplish," Hyansik replied. "Your ancestors created the assembly to promote peace, prosperity, and progress. But somewhere along the way you forgot about the progress part. What happens if we refuse?" asked Kulath. "Nothing," Hyansik said simply. "We will continue to protect the galaxy and pursue our own development, but you will be left behind as the universe moves forward around you. And if we agree, then we begin the greatest adventure in galactic history. Together, we explore possibilities that none of us could imagine alone." As the meeting concluded, the alien representatives prepared to return to their ships. Carried with them samples of human technology and data archives that would take years to fully analyze. Council leader Vorthok was the last to leave. He paused at the conference room door and turned back to Ambassador Hyansik. "Your species is remarkable," he said quietly. "In less than a year, you have accomplished what we thought would take centuries. But I have one final question. What is that? What do you hope to gain from all of this? What does humanity really want?" Hyansik smiled. "We want to see what happens when everyone in the galaxy has the chance to become the best version of themselves. We want to discover what we can build together when fear and limitation are no longer holding us back." "That is a beautiful dream, Ambassador. Hope we are wise enough to embrace it." 1 year later, the transformed assembly station orbited the same neutral world, but everything else had changed. The structure itself had grown to 3 times its original size, incorporating human programmable matter technology that allowed it to adapt its configuration based on need. Where once 12 rigid arms had extended into space, now flexible connecting passages linked dozens of modular sections that could be rearranged at will. President Minyoung stood in the new central observatory, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive for the first meeting of the Galactic Confederation. The vessels represented a remarkable transformation. Human adaptive technology had been integrated with alien designs, creating ships that were both familiar and revolutionary. "The Zenthari delegation has arrived," announced Admiral Taman, joining the president at the observation window. "Their new ships are quite impressive." Minyoung nodded, watching as the sleek vessels approached the station. The Zenthari had been among the first to embrace human innovations, and their fleet now incorporated self-repairing hulls and adaptive weapon systems that made them formidable allies rather than potential rivals. What about the others? The Velka completed their societal integration protocols 3 months ago. Birth rates are up 40%, and their young people are volunteering for exploration missions in record numbers. The Altarians have established 12 new colonies using our terraforming technology. Transformation had not happened overnight. It had taken months of careful negotiation, cultural exchange, and technological integration to reach this point. Some assembly species had been eager to embrace change, while others had required more convincing. "Any holdouts?" Minyoung asked. "Thorian Military Council is still debating whether to fully integrate their forces with ours," Admiral Taman admitted. "But General Zixcourt believes they will agree within the month. The results speak for themselves." Those results were indeed remarkable. The combined Confederation fleets had eliminated the Velkan swarm threat entirely, something the Assembly had been unable to do in 50 years of warfare. Piracy had dropped to almost zero, as adaptive patrol systems could predict and prevent attacks before they occurred. Trade was flowing more freely than ever before. In the station's new research complex, Chief Scientist Hai Jin was conducting the morning briefing for the Galactic Innovation Institute. The facility brought together the best minds from every member species, human and alien alike, to work on projects that would have been impossible for any single civilization. Project status report, she announced to the gathered researchers. The group included beings from all 12 former assembly worlds, each contributing their unique perspectives to humanity's collaborative research model. Dr. Velkarn, a brilliant Altarian physicist, raised one of his 6 arms. The stellar engineering project is ahead of schedule. We should be able to prevent the Kepler 442 star from going supernova within the next 5 years. Excellent, Dr. Morsa. The young Velka scientist consulted his notes. The Life Extension Project has achieved remarkable results. We've successfully extended healthy lifespans by an average of 300% across all tested species. No negative side effects observed, Dr. Kim. The human researcher smiled broadly. The Consciousness Transfer Project has reached Phase 3 trials. We can now safely transfer memories and personality patterns between different types of biological and artificial neural networks. The implications for exploration and colonization are enormous. Jean nodded approvingly. Each of these projects combined human innovation with alien expertise in ways that produced results neither could have achieved alone. The collaborative model was proving even more successful than humanity had hoped. What about the deep space exploration initiatives? Commander Dong Hyen can provide that update. Gagru replied. The former military officer had transitioned to exploration. Duties as humanity's focus shifted from defense to discovery. His new ships incorporated the best features of every Confederation member's technology. We have confirmed the existence of 17 new habitable worlds in the Outer Rim territories, he reported. More importantly, we have detected signs of 3 additional civilizations that may be suitable for contact and integration. Peaceful civilizations? Hyjin asked. Based on our analysis of their technology and behavior patterns, yes, they appear to be in early stages of interstellar development, similar to where humanity was 2 years ago. The irony was not lost on anyone in the room. Humanity, which had been viewed as primitive newcomers just months before, is now helping to guide the galaxy's approach to contacting other emerging species. In the diplomatic wing of the station, former council leader Vorthok was meeting with Ambassador Hyansik to discuss the Confederation's expansion policies. The relationship between the two had evolved from suspicion to mutual respect to genuine friendship. The new contact protocols are working well, Vorthok reported. Instead of the old integration system, we now approach new species as potential partners rather than subjects to be managed. What response are we getting? Hyansik asked. Much more positive than the Assembly ever achieved. When you offer genuine cooperation instead of condescending limitations, people respond favorably. The new protocols were based on humanity's philosophy of collaborative improvement. Instead of restricting new species to prevent them from becoming threats, the Confederation actively helped them develop their potential as quickly and safely as possible. The Kaleri delegation is particularly interesting, Vorthok continued. They have developed biotechnology that could revolutionize medical treatment for all our species. In exchange, they want access to our terraforming and energy technologies. Approved. Set up the technology exchange as soon as possible. This was how the Confederation operated now. Instead of hoarding knowledge to maintain power, member species shared their discoveries freely, knowing that everyone benefited when everyone advanced. On the military decks, former Assembly General Zixcourt was training Confederation officers in the new integrated combat systems. The combined fleets were more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen, but their primary mission was protection rather than conquest. Remember, he told his mixed class of human and alien officers? Our goal is to end conflicts as quickly as possible with minimal casualties on all sides. The adaptive systems give us overwhelming advantages, but we use those advantages to force peaceful resolutions. Lieutenant Park, one of the human trainees, raised her hand. Sir, what if we encounter a species that refuses to negotiate? Then we demonstrate our capabilities in a way that makes continued resistance pointless, Zixcourt replied. but our experience shows that most conflicts can be resolved when both sides understand the real costs and benefits involved. The Confederation's military philosophy reflected humanity's broader approach to problem solving. Instead of trying to defeat enemies, they worked to eliminate the conditions that created enemies in the first place. In the Cultural Exchange Center, Dr. Yun Rung was hosting a gathering that would have been unimaginable under the old assembly system. Representatives from dozens of species mingled freely, sharing art, music, literature, and ideas without the rigid protocols that had once governed interspecies interaction. Cultural renaissance has exceeded all our projections, she reported to Captain So Young, who had become the station's coordinator for civilian activities. When people are free to share their traditions and learn from others, creativity explodes. New forms of art were emerging that combined elements from multiple species, music that incorporated sounds no single species could produce, literature that explored perspectives impossible for any one type of mind to conceive, architecture that adapted to the needs of any inhabitants. The young people are particularly enthusiastic, So Young observed, watching a group of mixed-species teenagers collaborating on what appeared to be a complex holographic sculpture. They see the Confederation as natural rather than revolutionary. That is exactly what we hoped for, Dr. Yun Yong replied. Change becomes permanent when it feels inevitable rather than imposed. As the day's activities wound down, President Min Yong found herself in the station's memorial garden, a new addition that honored the positive aspects of the old assembly while acknowledging the need for change. Ambassador Hyen-sik joined her among the carefully tended plants from dozens of worlds. Any regrets? He asked. About what we have accomplished? None at all, Min-young replied. About how long it took us to get here. Sometimes the galaxy was not ready for these changes until we arrived to help implement them. Everything happened in its proper time. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars through the garden's transparent dome. Ships from across the Confederation moved through space in patterns that would have seemed chaotic to the old assembly, but represented the dynamic flow of a truly integrated civilization. What happens next? Min-young asked. We keep growing, Hyen-sik replied simply. We explore new worlds, contact new species, solve new problems, and discover new possibilities. We help everyone become the best version of themselves. And if we encounter challenges we cannot solve, then we learn how to solve them. That is what we do. As if summoned by their conversation, Engineer Ji-won's voice came through the communication system. President Min-young, we are receiving signals from the Galactic core. Long-range sensors have detected what appears to be a massive artificial structure near the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. Min-young and Hyen-sik exchanged glances. After everything they had accomplished, the galaxy was still full of mysteries waiting to be explored. Acknowledged, Engineer Ji-won Min-young replied. Begin preparations for a deep space exploration mission. Seems our work is just beginning. As they left the garden and returned to the station's bustling corridors, both humans reflected on the remarkable journey that had brought them to this point. 1 year ago, humanity had been viewed as a primitive species requesting membership in an ancient galactic order. Now they were partners in building something entirely new. The transformation had not been achieved through conquest or domination, but through the simple recognition that everyone benefits when everyone is allowed to reach their full potential. The galaxy was no longer divided between advanced and primitive species, between rulers and subjects, between the powerful and the weak. Instead, it had become a community of equals, working together to explore the infinite possibilities of the universe. And as the Confederation's ships prepared for their next great adventure, one thing was certain: the best was yet to come. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if the galaxy approved of the changes that had swept across its worlds. Humanity had appeared among the stars and discovered that they were unprepared for what they would find. But in the end, it was the galaxy that had been unprepared for humanity. Now, together, they were ready for anything.